What's up, everybody? Hey, it's Claire Smith, and I have not been on a Facebook video in a while, so hopefully we'll get some people to join me live, and if not, you can watch this on the broadcast, the replay. I also will be taking this video, putting it on my YouTube channel, and I will have it probably linked on a blog post or something like that because I think this is interesting information to be talking about. So welcome. If you have not seen me, if you're like, why am I staring at this girl named Claire Smith? I did not know I liked her page, or I've been buried amongst many other pages that you like. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Claire Smith, and I am, let's see, a handful of things. I'm obviously a blogger, I'm a speaker, I'm a Pilates instructor, I'm a health coach, I'm an adjunct professor currently. Of course, I am a wife and a mama, somebody very much in love and involved with her local church and with friends and family. And so I'd like to think I am just like you, just with hopped up on lots of energy. So anyways, if you are here, I'd like for you to say hey and what state you are watching from. Hopefully I'll see some familiar faces back on the feed here. I've been away for a while, and I was on a sabbatical, if you will, for 9 weeks. And so that is what this video is about today, is I'm going to kind of be telling you a little bit about my break. When I posted about it, let's see, when I came back on, I had a number of you via Instagram and Facebook asking all about it. You wanted to know, why did I do it? What triggered me to do it? What did I learn while I was on it? How did I do it? Like, how much of a break did you really take? And is this something that you should be considering and stepping into yourself? Because I had a lot of you also say, wow, that sounds like something that I probably need to step into. And so I just want to take this time here to communicate with you guys about my little break and my little sabbatical. So again, we're kind of drumming up an audience now. I'm going to see, like, I have so much to cover, and so I'm going to get right to it just because that's how I am. Let's start with this. Let's define what a sabbatical is. Maybe some of you are familiar with the term, or maybe you're not. It's essentially an extended break, and it's given to different people in different jobs. So whether you're a professor or you're a pastor, you'll hear people take like sabbaticals, and they kind of have it with a timeline of when you can do things, how long you've been working somewhere. But it's another word maybe for an extended Sabbath, vacation, if you will. But I also don't want to say just pure vacation, because there wasn't just like I was doing nothing during this time. So I think that the word sabbatical is going to look a little different. So maybe as you were listening to me today and you're thinking, is this something that I need to have in my life? Maybe just look at it kind of like a break or a rest from some of the normal things that you do every single day. Now, clearly this is not being a mother and a wife. Those things were still happening. I was not sabbaticaling, is that even a word, from that. But I was taking a break and a rest from social media and from my ministry, kind of my job, if you will. And so again, it is kind of going to have a different feel and a different vibe for everybody who's on here. So I want you to just remember that, to kind of personalize what this is. Now, I do want to make a big differentiation off the top. And again, this as I kind of continue talking in here, you guys will be able to understand this. But I, as a person who uses social media, and when I say that, let's be clear on this one. That's like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, those types of things. I am not just a content consumer. Most people are just kind of coming on socials and they're just scrolling and consuming, taking in content. Not to say that you're not putting something out. You're sharing pictures of your family, or sharing a recipe that you like, or clicking like on something that, and then sharing something to win for a giveaway or whatever. That is how a lot of people approach the socials. However, someone such as myself, and maybe some people that you follow, we're also we're content creators also. So I'm not here to say I'm not a consumer, because I do. I enjoy looking at fashion bloggers and such. But when I come to open up my phone, it looks a little different than maybe what you are looking at when you come up onto the phone. So every time I approach my social media, I'm actually thinking content creation. It is a spot for ministry for me. Now, for some people, it's a business place for them. They're trying to create community and such. And so I want to help paint the picture for what I was going through, what was going on, what I needed the break from, which may look, again, a little different for what you use it as. And again, that's totally fine. I want you to make sure that we contextualize this, though, for you. So as we get into this conversation, just keep that in mind, okay? One of the first things I want to address is, how did I know I needed a break? How did girlfriend know that it was time to shut it down? I will tell you exactly what I did, but I want to first talk to you about why, after 9 years, guys, 9 years of me having an online presence, of putting out content. That's how long I've had this ministry spot. Can you believe it? I have never taken an extended, intentional period of time away. Now, have there been times when I've been a little bit more like spacey with things? Of course, yes. But to actually delete everything off my phone and not worry with it, that's a different story. So it had been a lot of time. So why, after all this time, did I get to this point where I was just like, I gotta go away? I felt it actually was a process, and maybe you guys can relate to this. You start to feel this stirring in your life. You start to feel a discontent in something. And I would say this probably started actually back in the summer. I noticed that when I was approaching my socials, it was just kind of like a little lackadaisical. Like maybe I was just a little bit more drained by it than energized by it. And again, as someone who's a content creator, that is a different way that I'm bringing energy and I'm thinking and such. And so I started noticing that I maybe lost a little bit of an edge. Now, maybe for you guys, you maybe notice no different. But for me, as the person who pours my heart out and who thinks about things, I started feeling that energy kind of pull away a little bit. And so that was really hard. I was also feeling really distracted. So as I was online, I wasn't necessarily feeling like focused and really doing the best that I should be doing. I felt like I was perhaps wasting time on my social media and doing what I was doing, whether I was just kind of scrolling and consuming, or whether I was outputting something. I was feeling a little bit there. I was starting to feel a little confused. I was feeling a little bit like, who is Claire anymore? Who is she online? What purpose does she have anymore? There are a million other people who talks about what Claire talks about. Okay, maybe not a million, but I started kind of getting a little bit, maybe a little in the comparison vortex, and then also just kind of a little bit weakened a little bit. And so I started to kind of feel that heavy on me. One of the analogies that I gave was that my heart garden was also very overgrown. And I use that as a term because I am somebody who's very passionate. I'm multi-passionate. I am very intentional and intense, if you will, with every single thing that I do and every person God has put in my life. I want to save the world. Okay, maybe I don't want to go that far, but I have a true desire. I love people. I love Jesus with everything I have. And so that means that I attack everything with a ton of energy. I want to talk to every single issue. I want to use every single way of communicating with you guys. And what was happening was that this heart of mine was just blossoming and blooming. And it was just like all overgrown into this spot where I was just like, I cannot take this anymore. Like, it's suffocating. And so I felt like it was also time for me to be pruned. Like it was time. There's a biblical concept that you can read in the book of John, and it talks about pruning things. So when you are walking in the Spirit and you produce fruit in your life, there are things that God inevitably has to prune back so that you have greater fruitfulness. And that is a part of our faith walk, is that he is regularly, consistently actually slimming and trimming things in our lives. And so this is a good thing. It was a good thing that I had all these opportunities and passions, and I could go down this route and focus here. I could go down this route. And we joke with my friend group, it's like, some of them have no clue what they want to do in their life, and they're like, I don't have anything. And I'm like, I have too many things. Like, my problem is I have so many passions, lots of skill sets. I definitely have the energy to attack it, but I'm limited. I simply cannot. And so I needed some space. I needed some time away to get with God and have him prune my heart garden, is what I was saying. One other really big thing, and I want to hone in on this, because I think this is really practical for a lot of us as moms. I hit a season in parenting so I have my son is going to be 13. He's in 7th grade, and my daughter is 10. She's in 5th grade. And, we're just in that phase where there is a lot more emotional and thinking capacity that's required of me as a mom in this phase to really hang in there with them. It's not so much the exhaustion that I felt when they were little and I wasn't getting enough sleep and I was changing diapers and giving baths, but this is more of this mental space. And we hit a space with one of my kids, kind of both of them, and quite frankly, I had to make a choice. I had to make a choice to either honor my priorities, which I have always said is being a wife and a mom, or continue full steam ahead with this ministry to women online. I couldn't do it all, and I had to choose, and I felt like that was kind of what was before me. And so for me, the right choice, the best choice and the obvious and easiest choice was that my family needed me. My kids needed me. And when I say that, and this is what I kind of want to hone in on, ladies, we can have time, we can have space in our schedule for things. Like, you can look at your schedule and be like, I have 2 to 4. I can write a blog post. I can, whatever, do this craft. I can sell this thing, whatever. But what we have to take into consideration is what emotionally is going on up here. And I needed to make sure that I was able to limit what was going on in my schedule so that when I was in the presence of my kiddos and my husband, I was able to be engaged, that I was able to not be irritated, that I was able to disciple their hearts and listen to them and be prayerful about what the specific things were going on. Because, hey, we got kids going on middle school here, and these are no joke years right now. And so I needed to take space because I only have so much capacity. I am a limited creature. I'm a human being. I do have a lot of energy, but I live in a 24-hour period just like you do. And I had to make the wiser choice for that. And so I also believe that I needed to pull back on this season because my family needed me in this season. And so there will be times in our lives when we are definitely going to need that. Now, in the meantime, I didn't know this, but once I pulled away, one thing that happened was that my church, my local church, who I love, I stepped into a really cool thing that I can talk about later, but a program or just, kind of a prayer initiative that I came up with and that we implemented in our church. And so during this time, I was actually getting that started and off the ground, and that's going right now, and something that I'm really passionate about. And then also in my family, we bought a house. We've been looking for a house kind of off and on for many years. And this also gave me the space to be present for that decision and for us to decide. So I think the Lord, of course he knew that. Of course he knew that there were things that he had me to do. So that's kind of how I knew that I needed this break. And so again, just to encourage you, what are some triggers for you that you may need a social media break? How are you doing on your emotional capacity? How are you doing with the ability to stay present with the people that you know God has put in your life, that you know is important? Are your spiritual disciplines lacking right now? Are you still in the Word of God every single day? Are you meeting at your church? Are you in a community group? Are you doing those different types of things? That is emotional capacity that sometimes, because I think we're too busy scrolling and doing things here, we lose the ability to stay present there. If that's kind of struggling for you, pop off for a little while. Also, the comparison thing. If you feel maybe weak or lost, or you're like, I'm not good at this, or I don't know where I'm going, guess what? Take some time away. Sit with the Father. Ask him. You're not going to find it on Facebook scrolling, more than likely. Maybe. Not to say he doesn't use it, but I want to say, make sure that you take that time to look at that. And if you're just kind of blah, if you feel like you have lost your zeal in life, and again, my zeal level is going to be up here. I don't expect everybody to be like that, but you know what I'm saying. You know when you're just like, I am ready to go for life. I'm excited about it. I know God has a purpose for me. And you feel like that has kind of gone to the wayside, then it may be time for you to step back from social media and take a little bit of break and be in that stillness. So that's the first segment I kind of want to talk about. Now, how did I do this? Some people were asking specifically oh my word, so how exactly do you take this break? How exactly do you pull away from something that's such a crucial and a big part of your life? Did you click on Facebook at all? Did you go on Instagram at all? Okay, well, first of all, I think you need to go back to the first one of the first things I talked about, which is how do you know that you need a break, and what do you need the break from? Okay, so for me, I'm a content creator. So as I approach social media, I'm constantly thinking, how can I teach you guys something? What is a way that can encourage you? Here's a good product that I like in a review or a book about it. So that's generally what I was coming to, and that would drain me a little bit from social media. For me, it wasn't so much the basic scrolling, but for you, if that's how most of you live your life, maybe that's what's draining you right now. And so you need to first define that before you know exactly how you're going to go about this sabbatical or this break. So what I did is I deleted Instagram, my Facebook page app, which is the Claire Smith one, and my Twitter app off my phone. Deleted it hardcore. So I could not even be tempted to go, because I think if it were still on there, I would have probably played back and forth with it. And I truly wanted a break. I was not joking around. Now, I did keep my personal Facebook, my personal Clara Ring Smith Facebook, because that wasn't my problem. I didn't spend hours scrolling on Facebook, and honestly, it is such a big part of my life between different groups that I'm in, different things that I'm involved in with teaching my classes. I needed to kind of be on my personal Facebook. And again, I was able to know if it was going to get out of control or not. So that wasn't necessarily the problem for me. I did dip into Twitter every now and again, because for me, it's kind of like my reality TV. It's everyone I used to love watching Bravo and all those shows. I don't have time to watch TV anymore. Now I just watch my Twitter feed, and it's a little bit of the drama there, but there is articles I consume from that. I also still did my podcasting. I listened to tons of podcasts, so I still was taking in information that way. So I kind of took away all of those distractions. Now let me tell you, when you're a regular Instagram or a Facebook story person, and everything that you do, you're thinking, oh, I should document this, right? And put this up. I'll tell you, the first couple days, it was a little trippy. I had one of my girlfriends, Liz, I'm like, I'm gonna send you pictures of everything I'm gonna Instagram story, just because I couldn't. It was just so funny how your habits change, and all those different things. So anyways, another thing that I remember, and again, this is probably going off on a tangent, but you guys know, if you follow me on my stories and stuff, a lot of times I am sharing with you what God has shared with me. That's honestly one of my favorite things to do. So I do that via my devotional times in the morning or Bible studies and stuff like that. And so I would read something or whatever that would be, and I would immediately ingest that, process that, and then send it out to you guys. And I remember right away, like maybe it was the first day or second day, I was reading, I was doing my quiet times in the morning, and I was just like, oh, and I was just so excited to share this truth that I thought that I had. And I went to go pull up my thing. I'm like, oh, not going to do that. And I just remember it was like the Lord said, you know what, Claire, this is for me and you only. This is not meant for you to share with everybody else. This is meant for me and you. And I, for so long, had not ever taken that pause to just be like, it is just for me and him. Because my life is lived so much for you guys. I want to share, and I love it. You know what I mean? But it was just like he gave me that sweet moment. And so for 9 weeks, it was like, this is a truth for me and you. And I'll tell you what, if you want to increase your intimacy in your walk with the Lord, you do that. Do that and tell me what that does for you. Like, if you really believe it's just you and him, it's like the biggest thing in the world. So anyways, that's what I did. I removed all of those things out. I also was I was intentional. I had intentionality in this season too. So what I did is I had some questions I asked my closest friends who have been with me forever. Not forever, but a long time. They see me through thick and thin. They go through the ups and downs with me. They have permission to speak into my life. And actually, I asked other people who weren't necessarily in that close inner circle of me too. But I had some intentional questions. I was like, when you see my life, what are some of the things that I bring that maybe you don't see online? Now, again, remember, guys, I'm coming from my perspective. So I want you to contextualize this to what you might need during this season. I'm just sharing what God was teaching me. So, I was asking intentional questions. I'm like, where do you see I need to improve? Where are some areas that you see to be, like my strong suit that I could step into? If you would see, like Claire in the future 10 years from now, and I would love to see my friend Claire do this. Like, what is that? What does that look like? And so I was also relying on my people group, on my friends, and having lots of really good, meaty conversations. And so I was asking other people those questions. The other thing, and this is one reason I knew the Lord was in this whole thing, because my girlfriend Beth, right before I decided to go on the sabbatical, she had read this book, or got the book Restless by Jenny Allen. Okay. Restless by Jenny Allen. And she's like, hey, Claire, do you want to go through this book with me? She's like, it says you should do it with a friend, and you're like the friend I kind of want to go through it with. I'm like, okay, sure. Well, as we go through the book, it's talking about, the subtitle is Because You Were Made for More. And there is I don't know if you guys have done it or not, but it talks about your different threads in life, different people, suffering, places, passions. I'd have to look at some of the other ones. And basically, you are trying to journal and make some sort of an idea of what God is doing in your life. Because you get to this point in life sometimes when you're like, am I doing what he's asked me to do? Like, am I really stepping into this or not? And so my girlfriend was wanting to walk through that. And she's like, will you walk through that with me? Sorry, phone call. This sounds great. So yeah, let's go ahead and walk through this. So every other Sunday night, she and I would do a portion of this, and then we'd meet together and talk about it. Hot dog. Let me tell you right now, I knew the Lord was in this because it was literally like he was answering questions for me that I had been asking, and he just did it naturally via my girlfriend in this book. So I would really recommend this. If you're looking in the new year trying to be like, where am I going, Claire? What am I supposed to do? Get this book and do it with some girlfriends. And so that was really crucial in this process because, again, I needed time away to kind of sort out things. And what God had done is he had lined all this up for me without me even trying. It was really simple. And we just continued on. And so that was what this journal book is for. I had a whole separate notebook for my sabbatical to talk and to answer and to do all those kinds of things. And what he taught me through that was really crazy. The other thing, and this is funny, I wrote this down because I'm like, well, let's go with it. I got in touch with the 2009 Claire. Now, here we are at our 10-year challenge. We've all been talking about this. So 10 years ago, okay, I started my ministry, my blog online in 9 years ago. It'll be 9 years in January. So 10 years ago, I didn't have an Instagram account. Facebook was very minimal. We didn't have storying. We didn't have all the drama that it is now. My littles were little. Actually, 2009, Lila was just born. What did my life look like? I was involved in lots of play dates. I was involved in lots of, I watched television. I didn't really do much on social media. I think I cleaned my house more. Even though I had 2 kids. I don't know. I think I did those types of things. I think I read books for the fun of it instead of on purpose, like with intentionality. And so I gave myself the permission to go back a little bit to that. To stop being so intentional. I don't know if that's even the right word, but kind of chill a little bit. And if you guys know me, I'm sure you're not surprised. You know how I get. Everything is just so full, focused, and intentional. I took some space away. I watched TV. I watched documentaries. I sat with my kiddos and did nothing. We did puzzles. I don't know. And maybe these are things you do with your kids all the time. But everything about my day is just always something going on. There's something wanting from social media or my other jobs or whatever. I did stuff at my church, extra things that I normally would never have done. And so I got in touch with my 2009 Claire, and I loved it. I loved it. And I'm like, I have to keep a little bit of that back when Claire comes back. And so that was a piece to it as well. So that's kind of a basis of how I did it. Okay. What did I learn? Now, I've got 1,000 ways I can go about this. What I think I'm going to do is tell you in generals, because I might end up doing specific videos about some of the topics that he actually kind of what I learned throughout the whole process, okay? Number one, the sabbatical didn't really go how I thought it was. And if you hear about anybody that takes a little bit of a break, this is normal. This kind of happens, okay? Anyway, so I definitely feel like it went a lot of different ways. Number one, it taught me more about myself. It opened my eyes up to things that I did not know I was struggling with. So the Lord, in his grace, he started to uncover some things deep down that were kind of holes in the foundation of who I am. Now, I would say for the most part, if you would look at my life, and heck, if I look at my life, I have a pretty strong foundation. I really feel blessed in my life. That doesn't mean I'm perfect. It also doesn't mean I'm not a normal person, human being that changes and grows and has new hurts and new questions and trying to figure things out, which means that keeping my foundation solid and not in weak spots or whatever is always going to be some sort of a work in your life. And so he actually uncovered some things to me. And he did it via random conversations, via podcasts I was listening to, the book that I was going through. It was just like he was gently just showing me things. And because I wasn't distracted, I think he was showing me these things before. I know he was, because some of these things weren't new. I remember being like, wait, I've heard this before. But because I wasn't distracted, because I wasn't scrolling, because I wasn't trying to put off a hard issue that I know he was going for with me, I had to face it. And it was good. It was hard. I have so much journaling on some of these things, of some things. Now, what I would do is I would journal through it, and then I would go to my trusted group of people. I'm like, oh my word, guess what? This is what I feel like, this is a spot in my life. Now, a lot of times they'd be like, what? I didn't know that. Like, why do you see that about yourself? Or why is this the case? So anyways, he uncovered some things for me, but it is, see, this is so cool about God. See, he does these things because he wants to strengthen you. This is the work of the Holy Spirit in your life, okay? The Holy Spirit, when it comes in your life, it just doesn't come and sit dead. It may be quenched because we do that in our life. But if you are praying and want to live a Holy Spirit-led life, it comes and it does its work. And it makes us strong through and through. And so the Lord is preparing me for my next season. And so I had to step into those areas that were weak, that just quite frankly would never have been able to withstand. And so went through that. And again, some of those things, I'm not going to talk specifically about the lies. It's a little teaser to stay connected with me, because then I'll let you know what the Lord was telling me and what I was believing to be untrue about my life. But he definitely did that. He shored me up in those areas. He spoke to me specifically in my inner parts and told me that he has created me specifically with this strong personality, with this ability to communicate with people, and with the passion that I have for Jesus. And he wants me to go out and go out strong and not look back. And it's not like I didn't know that before, but I felt like he really anchored. He really, boom, boom, put that in with me. So I'll share more about what that really looked like from my life. The other thing I learned about, I feel like it kind of tested me. Not tested me. It showed me where my heart really was with social media. So one danger, and again, this may not apply to you because you may not fall into this world of what I do with an online platform with people following you and stuff, but sometimes this world can start to define you. Sometimes this world can start to be like the thing that's like, if your numbers are high enough, if your engagement, if all of those types of things, and maybe you get this if you're in network marketing and you're trying to sell things, like you kind of get that a little bit. But what I felt like is when I stepped away from this, like I did not feel a clamoring to come back. My life was so full offline. So when I shut down those apps, my life was so full offline that I did not feel the loss from not having the quote unquote applause and recognition from online. That to me was a positive thing. So it was able to reveal my heart. How did I use social media? How did I use this ministry? Was it kept in the right spot? And I believe it was. By God's grace, I believe I've been able to keep this in a place where it isn't my everything. I love you guys, but my everything actually comes what you never see in this camera, what you never see there. Okay, so I think that was a good thing. And I know that it didn't define me. And then my friendships and my ministry, everything that I was doing just continued. Like it wasn't like I pulled everything off online and then I was like, oh no, what do I do now? I don't have any friends. I don't have a church group to go to. I don't even know. I don't have any other interests but social media or my ministry. Like I had all those things still. And as a matter of fact, I stepped into them and they just went stronger. And so in that aspect, I feel like that is good. Like that is a very high value I hold to my life. And so you've got to know that as somebody that you guys follow and listen to. I really value the fact that I can be authentic in my offline world. I can come up here and talk a big talk And you guys would never know. Most of you would never know if I'm truly that in my real life. But that's really important to me. And so this break taught me. It showed me. It says, Claire, you're on the right path. Like, you've got this whole social media thing at a good spot in your life. And so maybe for you, that's something that you definitely need to look at as well. Also, your social media habits, they are something else, social media habits. I will say, coming back, approaching social media, I'm a lot more aware of when I'm just scrolling and wasting time, of when I notice that if I'm starting to compare myself to someone else. So sometimes you have to really pull back from something in order for you to really see it for what it is. And so I had to pull back, and now that I've re-engaged, now I see social media with different eyes. I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah, you don't need to be on here that long, or that's not really that big of a deal, or whatever that might be. So maybe a little break from you would be helpful for you to kind of come back and re-engage something that you have in your life. Okay, the final thing to talk about, like I'm flying through this stuff, is how did I know it was time to come back? My girlfriends who walked with me through this process, I did not give this a timeline. If you notice on my last video to you guys, I just said I was taking a break. I knew in my head I was looking for about a month. I knew that I probably needed a good month to detox from everything. But other than that, I was really open to it. I was just wanting to take the time. Okay, so a month comes around, and I remember being like, has it been a month already? And my girlfriends are like, it's been a month already? And they're like, are you ready to go back? I'm like, no way. Like, there was no way I was ready to go back. The Lord was still revealing things to me. Like, there were still things I needed to work through. And I thought, I cannot cut this short. Like, I am going to do this the right way. And if he has not asked me to come back yet, I'm not going to. So a month went past, and I was like, okay, we're at 4 weeks. And then as we are approaching like the 2-month mark, I'm like, I started feeling a little bit of like, maybe I'm getting ready, right? Maybe I'm getting ready. So I started looking at my calendar, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to come back. What's it look like when I come back? What am I going to talk about? How's that, how is this different and whatever? And I still didn't pull the trigger on that. And I've got to tell you something right now, guys. I would say 4 days, maybe it was a week, before I actually came back, I got probably the biggest revelation of the whole sabbatical, of the whole 9 weeks. I got the thing. I was in tears one Saturday morning. I was listening to worship music. I just finished a podcast or two. Maybe I was, probably had just done my quiet time or something. I was journaling. I was going maybe through the Restless book. And I feel like I got the final thing that God was like, you need to hear this. You need to hear this. And I just was torn up about it. And I tell you, if I would have gone back before that, again, would I have heard that? I don't know. Maybe. But like I told you guys, social media has a way to really distract you and take away that the ability to have attention and put something in on, just to be focused. And so I'm glad I didn't, even though I was itching for it. And so I feel like I got that revelation, and then I was praying about it. I was like, is it time to come back? Is it not? I'm not rushing this thing. And as I kind of talked about it with my girlfriends, and, I chewed over it, I prayed over it, and then it was just kind of like, I think I'm ready. And I could tell because I was excited again. I was like, I cannot wait to be with you guys. Like, God has given me the gift of teaching and exhortation, if you look at spiritual gifts. I'm a teacher, I'm a truth teller, I'm an encourager. I love this. Like, I'll teach you anything. Actually, get in conversations with me, and who knows what we'll end up on. And I just could not wait to get back to share with you guys. There were just so many things I started jotting down, like a little list of things. I'm like, we got to talk about this topic. But I was coming back with it with a different Claire. Now, my girlfriends were like, so and when I say my girlfriends, it's not like I don't talk to my husband about this, but my husband's not online, and he gets this world, but he doesn't get this world. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like, he's aware of these conversations, but when I say it's like my girlfriends that are going in the gritty conversations with me about these things. And anyway, so how was that going to look, Claire? How are you going to come back? Are you doing it differently? Are you coming back with a podcast? Are you coming back with a series? Are you going to be more specific and scheduled about your posts? Like, these were all these questions that I had, and I thought I'd have an answer for that at the end of my break, and I didn't. I feel like what came back was a fresh, new, awakened, stronger Claire. A Claire that had stopped, paused, and met with the Father, and who said everything else can go to the wayside, but as long as I have time with him and I hear from him, that is the Claire that is returning. It's not far from the Claire that was there before, because it's not like that wasn't happening before. But this is a next level up. This is something different that he was taking me through in my journey. I also believe that the Lord has me live the messages before I speak the messages. So some of you know I'm a speaker. I get hired to go to speak at women's conferences and retreats and lots of different things, clearly with you guys, just on video here. What he does is I live a message out. Like, I feel the heart message in my life before he asks me to share it, before he puts me out in front of women to share. And I also believe that I had to work through this season here, because there have been some insights and some things, and I believe some heart messages that God is building up in me so that I can share, encourage, and teach you guys, which is like one of my greatest joys in life. And so you guys may not see necessarily a different Claire, perhaps, in how I do my posts and what's going on. I don't know, maybe you do. I feel it. And that's what matters. And that's what I want to encourage you with. The most impactful thing or person in this world for the kingdom and for the gospel is a woman who walks intimately with the Lord, who is willing to say, I will step away with no fear, and I will take as long as I need, as long as I'm right beside you. Because wherever the Lord is, that is where we want to be. That is your greatest place of protection and peace. As soon as he's going this way and Claire starts to veer this way, or even like this, like, that gets a little messy. And so I don't know what that looks like for you guys with a sabbatical, with a social media break, it doesn't even have to be social media. You know what it is. Maybe it's television. Maybe it is, I don't want to say like a fast, but maybe it is a fast from certain types of foods, or your workout classes, or your run groups. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's the thing that God is saying, lay it down. Put it down and come to me. Just do it. It is the best. Oh, I saw so much through this. I'm just blessed. So I want to share this with you guys as encouragement to take that step into what that looks like, and to get involved and to stay present with the people in your lives. I think that's the other heart message I'm really feeling. I'm going to be 40 in March. Whoop, whoop. And I feel like there's this new awakening that I am coming into with life. And I think this happens, and I think I'm going to be talking to this, but I think that a lot of this is I see women in all age groups, and we're not present with the people who God has given us in our day-to-day. And I think there's a lot around that as to why that's the case, but I just firmly believe that our people need us. My kiddos need me right now. And so if you guys notice, for me, like, I'm just going to take the time that I need to be with my family and my church and my friends. I've always been like that, but I really feel that now. There's always time for ministry in the future for me, so you may not see me post a lot. Maybe you'll see me binge post. Maybe you'll see me like, whoa, where's she been for a week or two? And it's because I'm just trying to live as authentically as I can in my life. So anyways, that is a really quick recap of Sabbatical and a little bit about it. Do you guys have any questions about the process or anything for those of you who are still on? I don't think I see any. Okay, well, you're more than welcome to leave them below in the comments. Feel free to share this message. If you feel someone would be encouraged with it, have them like my page. You can find me on Instagram as well, Claire Smith Official. Maybe you popped over here from there. But anyways, okay, this was so good to be back with you guys. Thank you so much for still being here. I was like literally, when I came back from my sabbatical, when I wrote that post and you guys had like wrote these super kind comments, like we've missed you and all this kind of stuff, I was like, I can't believe this. I told my husband, I was like, they actually miss me. And I know that sounds like probably maybe weird for you to think that I would think that, but I did. I was like, I can't believe it. Like, oh my goodness. Like, it just meant a lot to me that you guys would definitely notice that. And so I really appreciate that. The name of the book was called Restless by Jenny Allen. Yeah, this one right here. Oops. Those are notes from something else. Restless from Jenny Allen. Because You Were Made for More. Really good. Totally recommend it. Do it with a group of girls from your church. Or not your church, other churches. I don't care. So anyways, okay guys, well we will touch base later. I'm going to try to get back on video a lot more because I love it. I love teaching and talking to you guys this way. If you have any subjects or topics, list them below. I have a number of them already that I think I want to talk to. So we'll see you guys later.